investors care a lot about risk mitigation. They want to make sure that the company is addressing financial risks, but now also other components impact financial risks. And so now they're also caring about other things like suppliers. How are they doing in the great, world of COVID and supply chain constraints? How are they impacting operations, which ultimately impacts your bottom line? And then also, when we look out into the future, when we talk, or even actually today, we have concerns as a whole globe, honestly, about climate change. So what is the impact of climate change and all the risk factors related to it that could impact operations or revenue or profitability today or in the future?
So just like our competitors at like the big box stores like your Home Depots and your Lowe's, our most frequent shoppers and our highest revenue generators are folks aged 35 to 54, which makes a lot of sense because, they're homeowners and they're mature in their careers and they have more disposable income. But then we looked at AOV, which is the average order value, and rightfully we hypothesized that like middle-aged and older homeowners would have the highest average order value for obvious reasons. But our data showed that Rise shoppers aged 18 to 24 had a dramatically higher average order value than all other age cohorts. So these very young people and Gen Z are making higher value purchases than other age groups. There are far fewer of them shopping, but they're spending more. They're also spending more time reading Rise articles, learning about stuff like prefab homes, gray water recycling, smart LED bulbs, and then even home heat loss to help them plan where to add insulation or air sealing. Whatever the reason, it's clear that when it comes to their home, Gen Z is spending more on each order than other generations, at least at the Rise store. Millennials really did accelerate the consumer demand for better products made by responsible companies. But now Gen Z has more options than millennials ever did.
100% of our Gen Z audience tells us that they would buy an all-electric home and also that they would buy a prefab home. So their perception of, for example, prefab is totally different than boomers, which is a dramatically, smaller percentage, that tells us that they would buy a prefab home just because they've got a whole different perception. I think Gen Zers think of prefab as, precision engineered like a Tesla.
We have a small community. Take advantage of it, right? We have a great brand in the community. Let's meet city council, meet planning and zoning, talk with people, establish initiatives like city code, the Dark Skies Alliance. We got Jonestown to adopt the Dark Skies Initiative, and we're heavily involved in that. Again, just about education. I feel like people naturally have a desire for this. If they can see there's a path to it, and we can just help show that it's possible. And it's not just a dongle that you go buy and purchase, it's just forethought. It gets people really excited.
Built Green Washington, that's like a green building labeling program up in the Pacific Northwest. I think that they have the best example of a set of guidelines for builders on how to address diversity, equity, and inclusion.
It takes us as leaders to actually make this happen. It's one thing to talk about it, as a lot of people in government do, or a lot of people on social media do. It's another thing to actually take action and make it happen. And that's my thoughts on ESG and why we're doing it. We genuinely want to make a better future, and we think homes is one of the best ways to do it.
Climate disasters are 5 times as frequent as the 1970s. It's going to continue to get worse. So in addition to having, a really good mitigation strategy, companies really need to start thinking about adaptation as well. And that goes for things like, your resources and supply chain, how your consumers might be changing their consumption patterns, and then the operational impact of potential disasters. And you'll see in that sort of pie chart, 97% of CEOs think that climate's going to impact their company.